Welcome back to another video. I'm Max Forti. Today, of course, we're talking about classic fragrances that have achieved an iconic status because of the influence they've had in the world in the past decades. So if you guys appreciate this content, stay tuned because I have 5 incredible fragrances that I'm happy to share with you today in the top classic, iconic fragrances of all time. Let's do it. Welcome back to another video. Max Forti. Today, of course, we're covering the classics, the iconic, the top influential, trendsetter, groundbreaking fragrances of all time. In this video, I'm including actually 2 fragrances from women. So as the ladies continue to support the channel, give me likes. If this video, of course, hits 500 or more likes, I will continue the classic iconic series. So without any further ado, guys, let's hop into the choices. Kicking things off here with this fragrance here that's synonym with class, sophistication, groundbreaking, trendsetter, timeless fragrance. This is equally known to fragrance as the Coca-Cola of drinks, the Rolex of watches. I mean, you guys get the picture. We're talking about Chanel number 5. This is going to be the Eau de Parfum concentration, released in 1986. The original formulation of this fragrance was actually an accident that was actually released in 1921. Perfumer Ernest Beau was actually working on this fragrance for Coco Chanel, Gabrielle Chanel, known as Coco Chanel, and he brought her a few different vials that had the mix of this particular fragrance. And the reason why it's called number 5 is because the 5th vial contained so much aldehydes, and he even said to her, Gabrielle, I beg your pardon, please, I apologize. Don't mind that number 5 there. It's just too aldehydic. I overdid it. Never mind that one. And she said, you know what? Actually, I like this one. And because it was an accident, let's go ahead and produce this one as the new Chanel number 5. And ladies and gentlemen, it is an iconic fragrance. It is timeless. It's absolutely breathtaking. I don't have to talk much about this one. Like I said before, just like Coca-Cola, Rolex, this particular brand is well known. Anywhere in the world you talk about Chanel number 5, everybody knows. Marilyn Monroe is actually somebody very famous attached to this fragrance, among dozens, if not hundreds of celebrities that wore this fragrance as their signature scent. Now, this is a 1986 formulation. Like I said, the Eau de Parfum. I actually like this one versus the Eau de Toilette 1921. Of course, what we have today in the market is a fraction of what these fragrances were back in the day, because back in the day, they actually utilized very natural ingredients like animalic notes, which they most likely 90-95% of these fragrances are now synthetically made. Not many natural ingredients are now allowed for these particular fragrances, but Chanel number 5 is an iconic fragrance, a scent that is recognized by many, and this one here is no different. One that definitely deserves the position here of the 5th spot of the most iconic fragrance of all time. Again, a ladies' fragrance. I do wear this one. I love it. It has this aldehydic, green, animalistic, honey kind of a vibe is what I get with the Eau de Parfum, but it also has like a green tinge to it. It's absolutely groundbreaking. And also I get like a soapy vibe with this fragrance, a very clean and very inviting, dry down with this fragrance. The beginning is a little bit aldehydic, animalistic, but the dry down is actually quite pleasant. We're going to jump to 1925 now. Of course, another house that needs no introduction, the house of Guerlain, famous for their Guerlinade, which is a compound that they made with vanilla, coumarin, which is very gourmand-like. They are the grandfathers of gourmands, groundbreaking trendsetter. Since the 1800s, they've been around for 193 years and counting. And this one, of course, Shalimar from 1925. This is an Eau de Cologne concentration, which is a more modern version, but still equally amazing. It's got, again, that Guerlinade, that vanilla, coumarin kind of a vibe, spicy, cinnamon, honey facet, powdery vibe. Amazing. Anyone can enjoy this. Again, made for women, but a guy can enjoy this. I do enjoy this. I actually like to layer this fragrance. It is absolutely groundbreaking and trendsetter. But the original 1925 is actually a Parfum edition that they made in 1925. The rest is history. This fragrance here, as we have bad boy, type of scents these days that are associated with guys that are players, if you will. Shalimar in 1925 is actually a Jacques Guerlain perfume and actually was associated with the bad girls from the 20s. Now, the profile of this fragrance is pretty much a smoky vanilla, a soft amber with some cinnamon and some animalistic undertones. And a funny story here, funny anecdote for you guys, is back in the 20s, 3 things that a lady would not dare do was smoke, dance to tango, or wear Shalimar. Needless to say, a great fragrance, still admired and adored nowadays for a reason. This stuff here, timeless. Now we're going to jump from the 20s all the way to the 70s, from 1978. If you guys follow this channel, you knew that at some point this fragrance would make its appearance in my top classic iconic fragrances of all time. And of course, I'm talking about Azzaro Pour Homme, the 1978 formulation. This is a vintage bottle. I absolutely adore this fragrance. There is one word that I would use to describe this fragrance. This is actually two words, a masterpiece fougere. This is amazing, guys. I love this fragrance. It reminds me of my childhood. This is basically, to simply describe this fragrance, it's a very pungent fougere that's very green and animalistic with a spicy undertone from anise, coumarin. There's a whole bunch of spices here, but the oak moss, the vetiver, the lavender are just very animalistic, very concentrated and in your face. You really need to appreciate dark fragrances to appreciate this fragrance. When it dries down, it gets a little bit soapy, a little bit clean, but the initial blast is very green, very animalistic, and very pungent, but a classic masterpiece, one that you cannot disregard. This sits in the top best dark fragrances that were very famous from the 70s all the way into like the 90s, and it's still a very big seller these days. This is one of those fragrances that is very groundbreaking and just, trendsetter and just timeless, just like your Polo Green or your Entheus by Chanel, those dark, rugged, animalistic, hair-chested, masculine fragrances like YSL Coros, so forth and so on. Definitely a great iconic fragrance that you should definitely consider checking out because it is just that good. Now we're going to jump from 1978 to 1989. Now this particular fragrance here, I have some funny stories attached to this fragrance because it was a fragrance that was heavily worn by guys, by bad boys, if you will, in my high school when I was in high school and early college. The thing about this fragrance is it was not your typical aquatic citrus aromatic fragrances that were very popular in the late 90s, like your CK1, CKB, or Tommy Hilfiger, Tommy Mann. This stuff here was the opposite. It was very, very oriental, very dark, and even almost gourmandish, if you will, because of the heavy vanilla that they used in this one. And of course, I'm talking about Yop Homme or Jupe Homme. This stuff here is a heavy, almost medicinal vanilla. I love it today. I think it's, very special, very trendsetter, very, very groundbreaking. But back in the day, I couldn't stand the guys that wore this fragrance because first of all, they oversprayed, they overwore this fragrance. So it was very pungent, it was in your face, it gave me headaches, especially when the weather, if it was cold out, winter and fall, I'm in New England, New York area, I could bear this. But when it was spring and summer, this stuff was just way too hard to bear. It was just too overpowering, very strong medicinal vanilla, sweet, just like the color, the juice. It was a sticky, sweet, syrupy kind of a vibe that I came to, appreciate over the years. A couple decades later after I got a bottle and I appreciated the fragrance. But I loved it so much that I actually found myself a vintage bottle. As you can see here, the green, the juice is starting to turn green from purple to green. Believe me, it's still great. It still smells amazing. And this is actually a vintage original formulation from 1989 of Yop Homme Eau de Toilette. Just absolutely fantastic. Very groundbreaking, very different. There was nothing like this fragrance. And then years later, back in 95, Jean-Paul Gaultier came up with Le Male, which I think they share a lot of similarities. Le Male is a lot more wearable, a lot better made, much better blend there. Francis Kurkdjian did a fantastic job with that fragrance with the mint, the lavender, and the vanilla. But this one here is like a darker version of Le Male, which was way ahead of its time. A quick way to summarize the smell of Yop Homme. If you haven't yet tried this fragrance, definitely worth checking out today because it's, like I said, very groundbreaking, very different than anything that's out there. This is going to be a blast of spices with creamy heliotrope, which gives us almost like an almond kind of a feel, tonka beans, vetiver, vanilla. It is a bomb of a fragrance. There's nothing soft about this one. Even current formulation, this one here right now, the one that I sprayed here in the air, is actually from the 2000s and it still smells like a bomb. So if you like powerful, standout fragrances that's definitely going to give you an edge when you walk or leave a room, definitely consider checking this one out. This is a beast mode, an atomic bomb type of a fragrance. Now here's one for the books, ladies and gentlemen. This particular fragrance is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. One that I don't talk much about it because you can't find it anymore. And number two, even if you do find it, if it's been reformulated, it's not going to smell as good as this one. From a brand that together with L'Artisan Parfumé and Serge Lutens, this particular brand here is one of my favorites of all time when it comes to niche fragrances. This is going to be from the house of Annick Goutal. This is going to be Sables from 1985. This to me is a holy grail, king of all amber type scents. From a Nicotal to her husband. A Nicotal wanted to make something for her husband that would set him apart from everybody else. She wanted to come up with a creation that would be so unique to him and included some of her favorite elements. So this is going to be a amber type of a fragrance that has black pepper, black tea, cinnamon, immortelle, sandalwood, and of course, amber. Now, the immortelle here is absolutely fantastic. Gives the scent almost like this boozy tobacco hay-like vibe. This, to me, my friends, is absolutely a masterpiece. If I had to come up with a top 10 top masterpiece fragrances of all time, this would make the list without a shadow of a doubt. Again, it's something that I keep very near and dear to my heart, very hush, but I wanted to share here with you today on this top, 5 iconic, classic, outstanding, timeless, trendsetter, groundbreaking fragrances of all time, because this is just that, guys. An absolute masterpiece of an amber. Sweet, spicy amber, herbal, animalistic. It's got everything I love. The tobacco, the pepper, and this gorgeous amber facet is just uncanny and second to none, guys. If you're looking for a masterpiece, holy grail, amber, and all be all, this would be it right here. Sables from a Nicotal. Guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you do appreciate what I do here, if you do appreciate the content, always bringing you guys new things off the beaten path, keeping you guys in the know when it comes to fragrances, guys. Show your support, leave me a like, touch the little subscriber for me, and of course, if you haven't yet, turn the little notification bell icon so you get videos like these straight into your feed. As always, guys, remember, fragrance is emotion in motion. It's an extension of who you are, so choose your fragrance wisely and wear what truly moves you. I'll see you guys right back here again with another one very soon. Take care.